me. And some of you, I'm sure, know Matt. And just recently, I streamed, just as a live stream, as an evening entertainment for all of us, I streamed his movie Frankenskies. And if you haven't seen it, it's really worth watching. But hi, Matt, how are you?
Hello, Claudia. I'm great. How about yourself?
Good to have you on. You always have great, not great, but interesting news to bring us. Some of them are not so great, but you have a lot of knowledge about geoengineering, about what is going on with the fires right now. And you just recently moved to Northern California, so you're really kind of in the midst of it. And so tell us about that.
Well, I last time I was on the show with you, I was gearing up for the third annual Summit to Stop Geoengineering, which I was hosting in
Right.
southern Arizona in Tucson.
Yeah.
And
And I'm
upon
just,
completion of that, we
I,
just
I
wrapped
just
that up. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, you talk because I just want to share this out to a few places, so it's live there
Yeah, I'll
too.
talk. I'm good at talking. I'll just
Good, I
start.
like that.
So, I had moved from Canada to Arizona to host the conference in Tucson because of the normalization, officialization of geoengineering. The official launch was proposed to happen in Tucson, though I think that after the conference and the concert and the protests that they're thinking about not doing it there, or that's what David W. Keith is now telling reporters. So I
Right,
think we did an amazing job down there. But so after the conference that I just hosted on May 12th, which if you want to see any of the videos on that, you can just look up Stop Geoengineering Tucson or Tucson Geoengineering, or I have the website stopgeoengineeringtucson.com where all the archives live. So after having had that, I moved to Northern California for work, and upon having moved here, almost immediately the fires started. And I'm just
right.
outside of Redding, California, where my sky is really smoky. And in Redding, California, they have this fire called the car fire. Now, I'm going to talk about this really
Right.
quick, and then we can segue into geoengineering. We can talk about my film Frankenskies. And thank you so much for screening that. That made my day
That was
last week. Really
great,
nice.
and it got a whole lot of views, got a whole lot of views on YouTube as well. So, and it needs to be seen because it's well documented the history of geoengineering, which I like so much because people think this is going to be a new thing or it doesn't even happen, and it's wonderfully done. I really have used it quite a bit.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I like to call it a documentary on weather modification history, so that people that are new to it, they can jump right in. And it is exactly that. I mean, it's really easy to say that they don't have the resources or they wouldn't be doing that kind of thing. But if you see the chronological timeline starting in the 30s, there's
Yes.
really no denying it after that. So after having moved to Northern California, and I'm just working and saving for my next thing. That's what I do. I'll likely, once I have a trailer for my next film, I'll do a crowdfund to supplement. But I'm working three jobs. Like after this, I'll leave and I'll go do a job, and then I'm going to be on a live radio show down on KMUD Redwood Community Radio this afternoon, which will be really nice. I love doing
Nice.
stuff in person. So
Nice.
either way, I have here the San Francisco Chronicle. And as we know, the newspaper, the San Francisco Chronicle, any other large newspapers are generally controlled. And how it is that they're controlled is the headlines are manipulated by the power structure, those in charge. They coerce the public into introducing things into the mental construct to program people and normalize things through
Right.
misinformation, disinformation, confusion tactics, whatever it may be. Well, we have a new thing going on, and it's called tornadoes. Catastrophic
Right.
new. So the headline reads on the front page of the San Francisco Chronicle: catastrophic fire tornadoes, a terrifying new challenge. Now, I want to talk about this fire really quick. The Carr fire, and now we have the Mendocino Complex fire just south of me. That is the largest fire in California history. And that smoke is traveling hundreds, if not thousands of miles, and it's a massive fire that is not contained yet. But the Carr fire that I experienced firsthand, because I have friends that are evacuated, and I mean, it's right here, and the one of the main highways that I live on, it's closed. Like it's the
Right.
highway is closed because the way out to get to the main freeway is on fire. And what happened on the first day of the fire is it doubled in size overnight. It grew north, east, south, and west overnight. Then
Wow.
on the next day, it doubled in size as well, north, east, south, and west. And on the third evening, it doubled in size. And the official explanation is that these fire tornadoes and these winds were causing rare and extreme fire behaviors to make these fires grow substantially and abnormally. Well, what I have been witnessing, are decades of spraying of aluminum oxide on these trees. And aluminum, come to find out, is a patented fire accelerant. Now, the
Right.
aluminum builds up in these trees, and you've even got trees burning from the inside out. I even have a friend who was witnessing as the fire was approaching on the ridge, on the mountain ridge. He was witnessing trees literally explode. I don't have videos for it, and yeah, it's hearsay, but this is a friend who has a farm who's witnessing this firsthand. So after
Right.
this aluminum has accumulated in these trees, and then you have these fires coming, maybe they were set on purpose, maybe they weren't. But what I witnessed from the videos and being here firsthand and from the photographs, I saw the persistent linear cirrus cloud formations in the sky. I
Right.
saw these lines in the sky, the geoengineering, the chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol injections, whatever you want to call them, the aerosols were in the sky during the fires. Now, we
Right.
know that we can make it rain, okay? You screen my movie, that's amazing. Any little bit of research you can see, and even where the Mendocino Complex fire is, the largest fire in California history, is where the largest rainmaking facility is in California history.
Wow.
Now, why is there no talk of trying to make it rain over these fires?
Yeah.
The car fire outside of Redding, it surrounded a lake. That's where it first started, was at a lake. Now, if you've got a water source, you can use these devices that are public knowledge now that are called air surface water cooling technology, where the clouds can be created. And if you can create clouds, you can make the clouds rain. So we could literally be making it rain over these fires. But instead, what I've witnessed is what I believe to be geoengineered fire tornadoes to exacerbate these storms, to push this elite agenda to tell the world that we need to dim sunlight to save us from climate change.
I
These,
know,
these
right?
fires, they're putting under the same umbrella of extreme weather conditions
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
to
and
further
that's
push the
that's
agenda.
that's the real problem. They create a problem, and then give us a solution. And the solution will be they need to geoengineer, they need to block out the sun, they need to curtail global warming. And it is so crazy. And at this point, I can't even discuss it with people anymore because I'm so worked up about it. Because they are creating the problem and then they give us the solution that has created the problem.
Well,
And
I don't
it's
see how.
insane.
I'm going to be very curious to see how geoengineering will stop forest fires. Now, I know it's a fear tactic, and I know it has nothing to do with it, but it's just one of those things. Natural disasters, such as the hurricanes, such as the
Yeah.
flooding and the drought, and everything. It's all under this one umbrella of fear that the media loves to push along. And one thing
Yeah.
that I did realize and notice the other day, I was talking to my friend about it. What happens with the media, what they'll do is when these events happen, these fires, for instance, everything that has to do with it will go viral. They'll let everyone know that it's going on, and it'll get pushed in the mental construct as fear-based. But then it just fizzles away because of the nature of the timeline and the nature of how they let things go viral, and then they push you on to the next
Right.
transgender headline or whatever it may be. These fires are still ongoing. The news might not be the top thing
Right.
in your news feed anymore, but people are still getting evacuated. Trees are still burning, and we're still facing some really dire situations at this time.
Right. And Matt, as a side note, what I find so interesting is I really think those fires are also a way to funnel people into cities because building materials have gone skyrocketing in the last 2, 3 years from like a sheet of OSB plywood from $8 to 20 some dollars. So even if you get the money from the insurance, you can't rebuild. You just simply don't have the funds to rebuild.
Well, and that's exactly true. And I was going to revisit the film Blade Runner, which a lot of these Hollywood films, they either pre-program you or
Yep.
condition or even disclose the elite New World Order agenda. But in the film Blade Runner, the film is based in this mega city in Los Angeles, and they say, "Oh, you can't go to Northern California. That's off limits. You know, that's a no-go zone." So
Right.
what I witnessed last year when these irregular fires were occurring in Santa Rosa and in Southern California, in Ventura County especially, these homes. So there's very isolated rural areas where they're trying to move the people out of, and then of course, like you said, displace them and put them into cities. Yes. Well, what's happening when these people are going back to rebuild? There's these new regulations where they can't
Yes.
build if they don't have these certain water permits and all this stuff, and people are not allowed to rebuild their homes, even if they have the money.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. It's basically, in my eyes, the whole thing is a land grab. It's a land grab. You know, it's taking people off their land. It's funneling people into the city. It's Agenda 21 by the playbook, and it is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
Well, that's a good point and it is disgusting, and it's a good point to segue into all these new towers and the 5G infrastructure that's going up. So I've been
Yes.
racking my brain thinking to myself, are they literally going to put a tower, a small cell tower, every 100 feet everywhere in the entire country? Well, no. There's going to be no-go zones where people are not allowed to go because they're fire prone or there's some
Flood
contaminant or
zones.
flood
Yeah.
zone, or maybe there was an outbreak or something that they'll stage
Right.
and they'll say, oh, you can't go over there because Zika's over there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then those will be the areas where, well, maybe the elite will end up living, kind of thing, like in these dystopian sci-fi films that are coming to reality. But more realistically, it's like they want to put their infrastructure of their frequency control grid only where the people will be corralled, and everywhere
Right.
else they won't have to.
Right. Right. And in the cities, it's easy to do. All the poles are in place. All the structure is there. They just need to slap another item onto the poles. So in cities, it's very easy to do. In the country, it will be very hard to do.
Well, and
You're absolutely right.
the people in the country, such as people that homestead in Vermont and up in your neck of the woods and what have you, those people are the people that are more tuned in and aware. The people in the cities, not everybody, but the people in the cities, they're more mainstream thought, and you can just put a
Yeah.
billboard in front of their face. If you're out on the land and you're grounded and you're tuned in to seeing the weather modification, and
Right.
someone comes to your place and says, oh, well, we've got mandatory vaccinations and what have you, you're going to say, get off my land. You know what I mean?
In
It's
Vermont,
totally
it'll be
different.
like, get off my land or I'll shoot you.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, literally, it's and other parts of the country too. I think you're absolutely right. Country people are more tuned in, and also because when you grow food, when you're living with the land, you watch the weather, you look up, you look in the sky, and you start seeing a pattern. You have a beautiful when they do not spray here. We have the real Vermont weather that I know from 15 years ago, pretty much. It's beautiful summers in the 70s, maybe low 80s, blue skies, fluffy clouds, that's it. And then occasionally we have some rain, we have a rainstorm, whatever. But now it's like it's a beautiful sky. They start spraying like crazy, and the next day it's going to rain. It's the same pattern every single time. I'm so sick of it. And then it's humid and it's steaming and they keep spraying. And it's been the most miserable summer we've ever had here. I mean, it was so hot and humid all summer, and there is nothing natural about it. They have been spraying nonstop. And even when you can't see them spray because there is already coverage and whiteout, you can hear the planes and you can look at your flight radar 24 and they're not on there, you know? So I'm like, it's really derailed. and people have to pay attention to nature again and what it's doing.
That's exactly right. And back to the farmers being more tuned in than not, I'm recently realizing that when I go to farmers markets to pass out flyers about Frankenskies and about what's going on, the people who know the most are the farmers. Not the people at the farmers market, but the people that literally live on the land, and
Yep.
they can see exactly when it rains, their plants are happy. When they spray, their plants are affected. When the drought comes, I mean,
Yeah.
they are there and dialed in every single day. So, did you know I'm making a new movie?
Tell me about it. What is it?
I'm trying to find my notes because I've got a perfect little outline of it all, but it's all in my head too. Okay, it's called Altered. Okay,
Altered?
so
Great. Good title.
yeah, so it's Humanity Altered. The first film, Frankenskies, there's so much to talk about, but not enough time. So what I did was try to take a very historical approach so that anybody could watch it. Anybody. Okay?
Right.
And no one's going to walk away and say, oh, that was a conspiratorial, whatever. It's not.
Right.
But the next film needs to get deeper. And what is on the cusp of it all, I mean, what's overarching theme across the whole everything, including the weather modification, is the manipulation of frequency. Okay, so for the weather modification, we have ionospheric heaters that are actually creating the global warming or the heating of the atmosphere to push these this agenda that there's heat waves and what have you, to give these plots on the graph to say, oh look, our planet's heating and there's something that needs to be done. But most importantly is the frequency at ground level. Okay, where we live, where we reside, all right, and because frequency is so hard to understand for us because it was taken out of our history books. We don't grow up learning about Nikola Tesla. We should, as children, learn about Masaru Emoto, okay,
Right.
about Rife technology, about Nikola Tesla. So all of this is going to be in the film. The film is going to start off nice and slow, introduce what Hertz is, explain that frequency is how many wave cycles are going by per second, and that our brains have a frequency, our hearts have a frequency, and our brain's frequency is in a very tight range from 1 hertz to 20 hertz. And in that spectrum of only 19 hertz, okay, so let's just back up. 1 hertz is in 1 second a wave goes by. 2 hertz is in 1 second 2 waves go by, okay? Mm-hmm. Now we'll jump forward all the way to this 5G, which is this new cell phone technology that's coming out. This technology is approaching terahertz 1 millimeter wave frequencies, and I'm going to get there. I'm just jumping ahead. So this new technology is 1 trillion waves going by in a second that are 1 millimeter in size. Okay, so we'll back up to our brains and our hearts for a minute. Our brains have a frequency that are so easily manipulated that people download and listen to these things called binaural beats. Mm-hmm. And what binaural beats are is you're trying to put your brainwave into theta, which is part of the brainwave spectrum that is calm and relaxed, where you sleep and where you meditate. Okay, so your brain is operating between 1 hertz and 20 hertz at all times. In that range is agitation. In that range is happiness. In that range is sadness. In that range is meditation and sleep. So around 5 hertz is theta, which is, there's like alpha, gamma, theta, these different stages of your brain which explain and dictate where you are, whether you're asleep or you're excited or you're aggravated and what have you. So you can listen to binaural beats, which is a perfect explanation and example of how easily manipulated your brain is. So I've got headphones. I download this song or something on YouTube that has the binaural beats, and what it is one headphone will have 15 hertz, and one headphone will have 10 hertz. And my brain will literally calculate the differential and settle into that differential and reside in the 5 hertz differential. And literally just by using headphones, I can put my brainwave in a certain state purposefully to get into this meditative space. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, Now, also, our hearts have a frequency. And I watched this documentary, which is on Netflix, which I highly recommend. I won't get into it too much, but it's called I Am. It's about this film director who got in a bicycle accident and had a concussion and went into
I saw that.
You saw this?
I
It's
saw
amazing.
that.
It's amazing. This film director, he made Nutty Professor and all these top big Hollywood movies. He cracked his head and realized that, oh my gosh, I need to do something for humanity, and I'm just a rich a-hole, you know? And he turned his life around, and he studied the heart and studied connection between humans. And there were these studies in there showing that the heart has a perfectly resonant frequency signature based on your mood again. And if you're scared or if you're angry or if you're in love, you've got this perfect signature coming off that is proven time and time again through experiments that your heart will always be emitting the certain frequency signal when you look at your puppy. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Right.
So they started really studying it, and they showed that the heart is actually borderline clairvoyant, which is a whole another story. But the heart is incredibly powerful, and it emits an electromagnetic field just like your brain. But that electromagnetic field is actually thousands of times greater than I believe it's 5,000, but it's incredibly larger than your brain. So large that you walk into a room and the other person's heart is immediately affecting your energetic field. Okay, so our hearts and our brains and even our organs, they emit a resonant frequency, and our frequency becomes harmonized with all of our organs, and we emit a frequency, okay? And it's easily manipulated through, for instance, the monitors and the television screens that pulse at a certain rate, or the binaural beats, or the smart meter on your home, or the new cell phone technology and what have you. I'm also going to talk about Nikola Tesla and Rife. So the Rife machine, which again, it's not in our history books or anything, but it should be. Rife, he learned that you can tune into certain frequencies. For instance, the opera singer. The opera singer, she tunes her voice to a certain resonant frequency, and she can shatter the wine glass or whatever, the champagne glass or whatever it may be. That is the perfect example for the Rife technology, because what he used, Rife, he would study different viruses or whatever in the human body. And for instance, cancer. Cancer has a resonant frequency signature, okay? So does everything. Everything has its own frequency. Okay, even us, we're light beings of frequency,
Yeah.
Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You turn on your Wi-Fi, it's not magic. There's a frequency being emitted from it. Just because you don't see it, it's there. So the Rife machine, it would tune to a certain frequency, and you put the electrodes on your body, and you zap your body with these frequencies, and it zaps and explodes just like the wine glass and the opera singer, different pathogens or whatever your ailments are. Okay, and then there's Masaru Emoto. Okay. Masaru Emoto, rest in peace, out of Japan, he would study that your words and your intentions and even writing it down, every word has a resonant frequency. So you say the word Mother Teresa, and you say that word at water, and then you freeze the water and you examine it, it will always have this crystalline same structure that in the water of Mother Teresa. He did a whole book on it, and it's amazing. And even negative words like I hate you has the same crystalline snowflake. Or I hate you is kind of messed up. It's not very beautiful. But either way. And then
looks
also
like sludge instead of a snowflake. Yeah.
Exactly. So words are powerful. Frequency is real. Frequency is powerful. And then there's even the I love you, I hate you rice experiment, which I couldn't believe. So I have this daily blog. It's called Daily Truths on my website, actualactivists.com, and I've been doing it since February. And I've got now over 180 of these daily truths that I've done. It's a daily blog that I do to kind of get away from Facebook because of the censorship and what have you. And I've got my own, people come to the website to see the daily truths. But one of my daily truths recently was the I love you, I hate you rice experiment. And I dug into it because I don't want to post anything that I don't think is fact. And this experiment has been proven time and time again.
Time and time again, yes.
Yeah.
I love
people
it.
In classrooms, it's amazing. And for those that don't know, these people, not just children, you can do it yourself, you get cooked rice and you put it in a jar. and you say, I
Yep.
love you to one and I hate you to the other one, and the I hate you one gets moldy and black and the I love you one is totally happy. Okay?
Right.
There is
Right.
power in frequency, in words, and all this stuff. So what the film will do is introduce frequency, nice and gentle, just like geoengineering and chemtrails, nice and gentle. This is real. Check it out. There's history to it. And then it will slowly segue into, well, smartphones aren't that smart, and smart cities and smart meters, they're not that great, even though the word smart is being used. And then talk
Right.
about the 5G and the millimeter wave technology, which we can get into if you want, and then smart cities and the push to transhumanism and artificial intelligence, and how China is unrolling this social credit system where this
Right.
facial recognition, retina scanning technology, if you
Yeah.
jaywalk, if you jaywalk, a computer will recognize who you are and take down your social credit point
Yeah.
system. And if
Yeah.
you jaywalk too many times, they'll turn you off, and you'll no longer be able to access your money or ride public transit
Right.
or
Right.
survive
Yeah.
in
It's
China.
insanity. It's like Black Mirror. Did you see that series on Netflix? I canceled my Netflix because I felt it was it's become a propaganda piece for telling us what the agenda is, and so I just had it with them, so I canceled my subscription. But one of the last things I watched was Black Mirror, that series, with many episodes. It's like a nightmare futuristic glance in what technology can do to our lives. Makes me want to
I sat
disconnect
down.
from all of it.
I'm not a TV guy and I'm not a Netflix guy. But once I saw that show, I had to watch every single episode
I did too.
because I had to see what they were pushing
Right.
into the reality, into the mental construct, into our consciousness.
Yeah.
Because little do we know how powerful that we are, and little do we know that we actually form this consensus reality together.
I
And
agree.
the powers that be know that, and they
Yeah.
need our consent, and they need us co-creating this reality by putting our energy toward, like, where attention goes, energy flows, right?
Right.
And so in the film, in that series, which I recommend people watching it just to see what they're trying to convince you to do, and then turn off the TV and go outside, you know.
Right. Right. Right.
But yeah, in that series, they have augmented reality where everybody has these implants in their eyes, and everybody's social credit score is available for you to see. And if you want to
Right.
ding someone down because they stepped on your toe, you just press a button. And if they
Right.
get below a certain level, they can't, rent
They
an
can't do
apartment
certain
anymore.
things. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. You can
and then there
basically
was
function.
also there was an episode on robotic drone bees, and sadly
Yes.
enough, we need to protect the bees, not glorify and romanticize these crazy killer bees that are going to be robots. You know what I mean? Like, let's
Right.
focus on the fact that we can save this planet, and that we
Yeah.
need to be the shepherds that we came here to be, and
Right.
not accept this dystopian technocracy that the global elitists are trying to
Right.
push upon
Right.
us.
Right. And I think, with all the fear mongering, what they're really doing is they are lowering our collective frequencies, our collective spiritual frequencies. And we really can't allow them to do that, which is why on Cabin Talk, I have as much positive things usually. Sometimes I go on a tangent about something and I just can't help myself. But I try to really give solution-based feedback as well, and I pound away at grow some food, be outside, go barefoot, don't get vaccinations, live a chemical-free life, live with nature, lie on the grass. I mean, I try to promote that as much as I try to promote the truth about what they are trying to implement as well. Because if we're all rolled up in a fetal position, crying in a corner, it will come to pass what they are trying to do. But if we actually take our power back and are doing the things that we can do and that we are strong about, and if we build community, then they really aren't as powerful as they think they are. They really aren't.
No, and we'll rise above all of it. And I do want to touch upon, you brought in grounding, and I want to talk about Schumann's resonance and all that. But firstly, you mentioned curled up in a fetal position, all right? And a lot of people, when I bring them, people out in the world, when I try to gently, because I'm getting really good at being nice and gentle about it. A few years ago, I'd be like, "No, you look at the sky. Look at that." You know,
Right.
and now,
Right.
now I'm just like, "Oh, you can plant the seed of truth, and it's up to them to, you know."
Right.
But seriously, it's not about getting in the fetal position and letting the truth scare you. All right, let the truth empower you.
Yeah.
Truth is a frequency, just like all these other frequencies we're talking about, the frequency of fear and love
Yeah.
and hate. I love you, I hate you, Mother Teresa in the water, and all this sort of stuff. Truth is a frequency. And yeah, some of these truths are very disturbing. Okay?
Right.
Like sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, SIDS, is just a name created by the vaccine industry to
Yeah.
sidestep this criminal vaccine agenda where newborns are getting way more vaccines than they ever should, being plugged
Right.
with someone else's DNA and all, and glyphosate. I now hear that there's glyphosate in vaccines. I'm
In
just like,
just
are
about
you
all
kidding?
vaccines they have tested. Yeah. Yeah. It's insanity.
I mean, my mind is blown. I don't know why an herbicide needs to be in vaccines. But either way, it's not about scaring you. And it will piss you off at first. And it will scare the crap out of you at first. But ultimately, the truth will set you free. I know it sounds
Right.
cliche and it sounds scary. And maybe the first day you want to get in the fetal position and bury your head under your pillow. And I completely understand. And my heart goes out to you. But afterwards, it's time to spread the truth and share that love with the world, because the truth doesn't just stop at sudden infant death syndrome. Okay,
Right.
there's curatives, there's empowerment, there's inspiration, there's love, there's light, there's all these amazing things that come with the truth. So don't let it
Right.
scare you. Let's just move forward to embracing it and spreading it with the world. So one of those, for
Right.
instance, is the Schumann's resonance of the Earth. The Earth has its natural frequency of 7.4 hertz. Okay, so we're being bombarded with, they're putting up a cell tower out front of your house maybe, or a small cell tower, or they're convincing you that you need a smart meter on your home, which is emitting microwave frequencies. And all of these microwave attacks from the smart meters and the new 5G infrastructure, this stuff is, these microwave frequencies, the upsetting thing about them is, unlike the old technology. Okay, we've got these older 3G and 4G phones, we've got bunny ears on our TVs and such. Those technologies that are receiving these signals from these frequencies, those frequencies are frequency waves that are the size of your home, that are the size of a football field. These are big frequencies, waves that can go some distance. All right, they're much, much larger than this new microwave 5G, which is 1 millimeter wave in size. The 1 millimeter wave was actually created by the military in this active denial system, ADS, to create a frequency fence so that when you go into these zones, your skin burns, because it literally is called ionizing radiation. The 1 millimeter wave actually burns your skin. Well, this new
Wow.
technology that is actually being implemented in the TSA body scanners, it's 1 millimeter wave, but it penetrates your skin. It actually heats underneath your skin, but you don't feel it immediately. All right? So all of these frequencies that are coming, they interact in the same realm where we interact. That's the problem. They're so small that, say, a newborn baby that's a millimeter wave developing in their mommy's tummy, well, if they're being bombarded with a 1 millimeter wave that's going by at a near trillion times per second, they're going to be impacted. They're going to be killed, right? And it's part of this eugenics depopulation program where the next generation maybe won't be able to have kids, and then they'll be pushing, well, you maybe you should live forever and become transhumanism, or transhuman, and all this transfer of consciousness and all this insanity. We need to slow down and get grounded. Go put your
Right.
feet in the dirt. Go ground with nature. And literally, I couldn't believe it. I went and sat next to a redwood tree the other day. It took me 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay. I had all these city, smog and all this kind of different electromagnetic stuff from my Wi-Fi and from everything. I sat at the base of this redwood tree for 1 minute, and I could feel I was immediately grounded to the 7.4 hertz Schumann resonance that the
Right.
entire earth puts off. So the earth is just
Right.
waiting there to help and heal you, you know. So if you ever get
Right.
frazzled or you're not feeling grounded and you've got these, you know, heart palpitations from your smart meter, for instance, which is something that I've experienced or what have you, the earth is just waiting to help you. And then
Right.
in return, we can help and save her while we're at it.
Right. Right. And I have to tell you a weirdo story about myself about that, right? So when I lived in DC and I had to go to this job every day that was killing me because just the mere fact that I couldn't be outside was bothering me so much. And it was literally ruining my body. And so on my lunch break, and I had to be dressed business-like, you know, skirt, heels, the whole thing, you know, which I despise in the first place. But so I would, on my lunch break, I would go next to the grocery store, which was close by. There was a strip of grass, you know, just this strip of grass where they would put like one little tree in there that was suffering because it wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. And I would lie down in the grass, just like, oh, like this with my business clothes. I didn't care. I just needed to be connected to the earth. And I would lie there for like 10, 15 minutes and people would go by and go, she's crazy, you know, she's Lulu. And I would go, you're all crazy because you're not connected to nature. You are all crazy and you're accepting this craziness, you know? And so I would lie there every day. It was like the only thing that kept me sane. And as soon as I would be home, I would be lying in the grass again. You know, I would just lie in the dirt. And I was like, okay, I can breathe again, you know? And it was like this daily occurrence, but I would just lie. I would just lie in the grass with my business clothes and then brush off and go back to work. And it really helped me, you know.
It's real, and I love it. How much time did you spend in DC again?
11 years.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Huh.
so I've got you beat. I grew up there, but side note, random side note. In DC, it's definitely got a lot of duality there. There's a lot of negative, but there's also some amazing stuff. Have you ever been to the museum right next to the White House where the ghost clock resides? You ever seen the ghost clock?
No, it doesn't sound familiar.
It's beautiful. It is a giant slab of mahogany that was carved perfectly and painted perfectly into what looks like a grandfather clock with a sheet over it. So it looks like a grandfather clock that's being worked on with a sheet over it. But the sheet
Wow.
is not a sheet; it's wood, and it represents timelessness, and it's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
It's just beautiful. I walked past it because I thought it was being refurbished, and on my way out the door, the lady who had checked my badge, she was like, "Did you see the ghost clock or what?" And I was like, "No, I must." And I walked, and I was like, "Wow, it's so done so perfectly that the sheet looks."
Wow.
Yeah. Either way, it's
Looks real.
it's my favorite art piece in the whole city.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you live in the city, if people live in the city, one of the ways I feel people can really reset their system also, and there are old sort of wives' tales, legends about it, is bad spirits can't reside or get cast out if you jump in cold water, right? And so I jump into my pond like every day. You know, if it's cold, if it's warm, I don't care. I jump in and I go, wow, you know, when it's cold. But you can take a cold shower. You can just stand under there and turn the water on cold. And I really feel that it changes your whole psyche. I really believe cold water casts out whatever, you know, brings you back to the present. Maybe that's what it really does, you know, brings you into the moment, and then people reset themselves. But it really does something as well. So I urge people always, like, take a cold shower, you know, jump into cold water, jump into a river, jump into anything that is water. I think water is incredibly healing as well.
Well, that's completely true. And we're beings of water. And myself, I'm a Scorpio, and I'm a water monkey, which is my Chinese.
Yeah.
So I'm really, yeah. Whenever I've got anything seriously like running through my head, I take a bath. I'll even add some Epsom salts. Or
Yeah.
the other day, I jumped in a stream, and immediately everything was changed. I believe
Right.
that water holds, just like we were talking about Masaru Emoto, water holds a
Yes.
frequency. It also aside from holding a frequency, water also is our gift. It'll actually pull our negative energies and transmute all of that for us.
Yeah.
We're beings of water and frequency, and I believe that the water is basically there to kind of help us. Yeah, I'm totally
Right.
on board with that.
Right. Right. Now, did I get sidetracked and you wanted to talk about something else?
Oh, I've always got stuff to talk about. So, the fires, there's aluminum in there. We could talk about 5G for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I'm totally wide open. So the 5G infrastructure, the thing about this that everyone needs to know is this is it's not 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. It's not this
Right.
evolution of the telecom industry. Okay, this is military grade weaponized technology, and this is 1 millimeter size waves that is very, very um, not technologically sound. In terms of innovation and in terms of the industry, it's dumb. Okay, the fact that the microwave signal only goes about 100 or 200 feet, and that they'll have to have this Internet of Things infrastructure where every cell phone becomes a small cell tower emitting the signal, and on every street corner you've got to disguise cactuses and palm trees and street lamps and even trash cans and you name it to repeat this signal around to actually make this thing work. It's it's um it's rudimentary. It's just baffles my mind that this is the chosen technology that the telecom industry is looking to push because it makes no sense. As for carrier wave to have trillions of dollars of infrastructure to pulse this wave around, and the fact that Tom Wheeler from the FCC is literally grinding his teeth doing presentations about this, talking about all the money that needs to be made, and he says, "Do not get in our way. We don't care about the human health impacts. There are no human health impact studies." It's completely shocking, and
Yeah.
it's literally okay. So here we are. Okay, I'm going on these shows trying to talk about activism all the time, and I'm here, and you and I are activists, and we're trying to inspire the people to get active. And there's these problems that are so huge. All right, how are we going to take down Monsanto, and how are we going to talk about the CDC and tell people to investigate the ingredients in the vaccines that in the flu shot and geoengineering? It's such a massive thing. All right. Well, these obstacles are huge, yes. But the cell tower, the small cell tower that's going up on the corner of your street, now we're talking about a big problem that's becoming localized and so small that it's
Right.
in your neighborhood that you are just one day away from preventing that from happening. Okay? All it
Right.
takes is for you to bring the knowledge and your inspired education to your friends and family and your neighbors and bring it to their attention. Okay, so I was living in Sedona, Arizona. Come to find out, Arizona is the first state to go statewide with 5G. They want the entire rollout to be statewide by 2020. Okay, now which is completely mind-boggling because most of that state is mountains and desert. All right, they're going to be having to put up fake saguaro cactuses every
Right.
200 feet throughout the entire desert to what?
Right.
Get a 1 millimeter wave microwave carrier signal to the trees and to the scorpions out in the desert. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. So, New Mexico, the state of New Mexico, when the smart meters started coming and were putting on their homes, all right, the state of New Mexico spoke up. They took it to the courts, and the state of New Mexico has banned smart meters.
Nice.
The courts say it's the only state. The courts
Yeah.
say that no, they're not green, and actually they're dangerous, and they cause heart palpitations, and they mess with people's sleep, and all these things. I mean,
Yeah.
they can even give you tumors. It's ridiculous. Okay. Um, for the 5G infrastructure, Northern California seems to be um, the most aware area that's fighting back. There's
Mm-hmm.
areas that have gone completely 5G free, but the telecom industry, along with the mandated federal Trump initiated rollout, they're fighting it. Okay. Now, once the tower is up in your neighborhood, it's going to be so much harder to be taken down. And I'm not talking about these massive cell towers that we're seeing. That's part of the infrastructure. In Sedona, Arizona, where I live, this very small town, there's one cell tower for the whole community. All right.
Right.
The rollout is to put up 25 new towers along with hundreds and hundreds of small cells. They're called small cell towers. Okay. All throughout this town, which is actually a hub for tourism and spirituality and communication. Tuning in with nature, right? People come there to get tuned in and to dial in with the Schumann's resonance and the spiritual aspect of it all there. So I went to the city council doing everything that I can. I spoke to the mayor, recorded the whole thing, and I said that there needs to be human health implication mitigation strategies. What about people that are electromagnetic hypersensitive? They won't even be able to come to this town. What about pregnant women? What about pregnancies? There should be some sort of outreach for pregnant women to give them the information so that they don't have stillborn children. I mean, I've researched and now own copper-lined clothing and silver-lined clothing, which I'm actually thinking I'm going to end up having to make a silver and copper-lined clothing brand, which will help mitigate these human health impacts where we have copper and silver over our hearts and a hoodie so that we can have the copper and silver over our brains so that we're not impacted by all this, because the copper and silver actually bounces these microwave signals and you can protect yourself. I've done experiments. I've put them on Facebook and YouTube with the meters that I have and the phones that I have that emit staggering amounts of radiation. But when I went and I gave my 3-minute presentation to the city council, they said, our hands are tied. There's nothing that can be done. And I said, no, I'm talking about the human health impacts. Like, we have to talk about the mitigation strategies. And they said, no, we have to put up the towers. And it's like we weren't even speaking the same language. I'm saying, yeah, you have to put up the towers, but what about the pregnant women? And they're like, no, we have to put up the towers. And I'm like, yeah, okay, well, let's talk about having some sort of panel of scientists or elected representatives or whatever. We need to talk about the human health impacts before it's too late. You can't just start emitting a microwave frequency that makes everyone not be able to have children and then push this transhumanism agenda and convince people that they have to adapt to the technology and not,
Right.
You see where I'm going? So
people do have... Oh, go ahead.
Before the towers are put up in your neighborhood, it's really important, the time is now, to become active and to get the word out, because you can petition and not have them in your neighborhood. There are people who have spoken up enough that they're no longer going to be even in their town. But the time is literally now. I can't stress it.
Right. I mean, when my power company had an open house, I went to the open house and there were a lot of people there. And I said, I don't want any smart meters, and I don't ever want a smart meter on my house. And I just want to publicly state that. And I can give you that in writing too if you want. And the guy said, well, why is that? And I said, because first of all, I don't want you to have my information and sell it to advertising and make money on that. It's none of anybody's business what I do in my house. And second of all, there are health risks that we know of, and a lot of them that we don't even know of. And I don't want that on my house. And he said, well, we don't have the funding anyway. We don't have the money to do it. And I said, and if you do not put one on my house. And I want to state that. And people were like, oh, yeah, okay. So people were listening. And for the first time, probably, they heard that smart meters are dangerous, And so we can plant seeds. We can put it in a letter to the editor, to the local papers. We can talk about it that way. And I think that's a really good way to get the word out and just say, I'm against smart meters or against cell towers or against whatever. And here is why. And It does make an impact. I had on a local forum, I had a big discussion about vaccines the other day with a lot of people. And it's a local town forum. And because the health department was putting out, it's time to get your kids vaccinated, back to school, get them all the shots, And so I basically said, well, I have been vaccine injured. And I think it should be, you should really research what's in them. As a parent, you should investigate what gets put into the veins of your child and really be smart about it and ask your pediatrician what the ingredients are and what they do to the body. And if your pediatrician doesn't know, that's not a good sign. And this whole discussion ensued. And what was the interesting part is I got maybe about 10 positive feedbacks, but privately. People didn't dare to speak out in public. Some did, but the majority didn't. But they thanked me and they said, thank you for putting this out there and thank you for letting us know. So I think we need to be the courageous ones. Everybody on here listening needs to be the courageous one and needs to put themselves out there, because there is safety in numbers and there is change in numbers, and that's what we need.
You're awesome. Okay, so I got two amazing takeaways from what you just said. One is, well, which order will I go in? Firstly, when you're getting out there and you're speaking up, you have no idea how many people are listening to how powerful you are. Okay. Right. Personally, I'm a 37-year-old guy with a ponytail, and not everybody's going to listen to me. Seriously, like, not everyone's going to listen to me because of my demographic, because of my age, because of who I am and what I look like and how I convey my message. All right. But I can get to some people. But if you are a elderly African-American woman, right, you know there are people out there that will listen to you and not me. Right. Okay? Like, just resonate with that. Resonate with that. There's family members. There's people in your community. There's so many people that will listen to you. And you don't think, oh, who's going to listen to me? You wouldn't believe it. Even people that you've never met before, they can identify with you. They love you. They can identify with your hairstyle, with the way that you convey the message. All right? Firstly, because I want that to be really important, because you never know how powerful you are until you try. Secondly, the information is so garbled out there now. There's this attack on discernment. If I go on the computer and I type in what color is the sky, for instance, so that's a bad example because the sky's color is changing rapidly. But the color of the sun, for instance, you'll have all this. That's even a bad one too. Okay, if I type in is Coca-Cola healthy? Okay, there are scientific studies funded by Coca-Cola, but they won't tell you that immediately. Right. There are studies. There's literally studies saying that Coca-Cola is very healthy, that it's more hydrating than water, that if you're dehydrated, that you should drink Coca-Cola over water. And they have this whole thing. Like, I dug into this study and I researched so deep into this Coca-Cola study because it blew my mind. Because I'm literally trying to do an article talking about how Coca-Cola is not healthy. The top Google searches are telling me that Coca-Cola is healthy. Okay. Wow. And this biased study got people and had them drink water and had them drink Coca-Cola, and the people would urinate more water, therefore they weren't retaining as much water, and the Coca-Cola, they weren't urinating as much, and so they say that Coca-Cola is hydrating, that people should drink Coca-Cola, that it's curative and all this sort of stuff. Okay, my God. So in that regard, okay, every truth has all these lies on top of it now. All right, the searches on the Google are changing. For every truth, there's lies. All right. Right. So in that, all right. So for instance, GMOs. People trying to understand the GMOs, it's shrouded with disinformation, misinformation, propaganda that we need GMOs because of this and world hunger and overpopulation and all these things. All right. And you can come out of a 1-week research project on GMOs, literally spewing all this disinformation, misinformation. But honestly, it's so simple. And so my second takeaway is that we have the ability to simplify it all. All right. So for GMOs are modified genetically so that they can withstand poison that would otherwise kill the plant upon spraying it. Right. That's it. That's very, very, very simple. And well said. And then actually a court case a few days ago just awarded a gentleman $289 million for getting cancer from glyphosate, the same chemical that is being sprayed on all of this non-organic food. And the food will otherwise die if it wasn't genetically altered.
Right.
All right? Vaccines. All right? We can argue vaccines all day long. Someone else's DNA is in that vaccine. Probably
Right.
someone that's not the same sex as you. Okay?
Right.
Why would you want someone else's DNA injected into your body? Like
Yep.
all the things aside, aluminum, mercury, glyphosate, we can argue if that is good or bad for us still. I mean,
Right.
I
Right.
guess we can. I mean, the facts are the facts. But either way, it's up to us to bring it to the level where we can communicate it and simplify it for people,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
1 millimeter waves are bad for babies that are 1 millimeter in size. That's it. It's just like,
Right.
maybe you want to download things faster, maybe you want your car to be smart and all that sort of stuff. Let's just keep it simple. Let's talk about the human health impacts. And no, I do not consent to having that small cell tower put up in my neighborhood. Who do I talk to about this? I need to let my neighborhood know about this. It's like, keep it very simple, and keeping calm is the best way to plant those seeds of information, and the truth will prevail.
Right. Well said, Matt. Well said. And we're already at an hour almost.
Yeah.
Time flies
cool.
when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So
I
when
love it.
can we expect your new movie?
Well, I'm 4 interviews deep, and I'm working 3 jobs. So as I get more funds together, and it's really important, like I've been running around in circles thinking, they're putting up cell towers and I've got to make this movie and it's up to me. Really getting grounded for me is so important right now. I'm doing this repetitive work at my job, and I'm realizing, oh man, I need to simplify this frequency thing, and I'm going to do it like this. And it's not always running around frantic trying to get things done. I just committed the past 8 months to having this very successful conference on May 12th in Tucson, followed by a concert, followed by a next day protest for Mother Earth on Mother's Day. And in my opinion, I think that whole weekend may have completely shifted the course of humanity as we know it in the whole geoengineering spectrum. So I need to just be able to calm down, and the next film will be out in about a year. I'd love for it to be out next week, but literally, to get it perfect and to get the right interviews together. I've just heard back from Gabriel Cousins, who's going to be in the film, and Dr. Jack Cruz of New Orleans. There's some really impactful, important...
I love Jack Cruz. I saw him. I met him.
Yeah, he did in Vermont, I hear.
Yeah, he was in Vermont and he gave a lecture and it was wonderful. It changed my life. It changed my life.
Is he funny? He seems like he's funny too.
He is funny. He knows his stuff, and he is really great. And he is the one that says, and now people hold on to your horses because you're not going to like hearing it, be exposed to the sun. Don't burn in the sun. Don't burn yourself to a crisp, but run around naked in the sun. It is vital to our health. And do not wear sunglasses. And I haven't worn sunglasses since. I used to wear my sunglasses all the time. I have not worn sunglasses since.
Well, I've gotten into the habit of looking people in their eyes, especially as I'm passing out these flyers, which if you would like any flyers, you can email me at frankenskies@gmail.com. On the flyer, it's a nice, gentle approach to telling people about geoengineering and promoting Frankenskies, the movie. But yeah, I've gotten in the habit of looking into people's eyes. And you can pretty much tell if they're going to be receptive with some of the truth. Because like I said, truth is a frequency. And once you've got it in your eyes, I can see. So after you've been outside all day long in the sun, your eyes are glowing. I've seen it. I've seen it when I'm like working inside and someone comes in off of a farm or outside all day. And their eyes are just full of that life force energy. That's exactly what it is. It's because we are beings of light and the sun is here to serve us. I don't even touch sunscreen. And the whole misinformation campaign that the sun is bad is also part of the agenda to block out your sun. I mean, let's just discern and think for ourselves. And learning discernment is so key. What you do is ask your heart and ask your gut every time anything comes up. Every time anything. And eventually it's like fine-tuning a muscle or whatever analogy you want to use, but literally it'll start to respond for you. Like when you meet
Right.
someone who's not totally awesome, you can feel it in your stomach. Like
Right.
don't go hang out with that person or whatever.
Yeah.
Like literally learn to discern through your heart and your gut. And then when you come across that Coca-Cola article that says Coca-Cola is really good for your health and drink it, it's hydrating, it'll literally make you cringe.
Right, right, right. Yes, very well said. Well, thank you so much, Matt, and you'll come on again, I'm sure. And
I would love
it was great to have you. Great to have this conversation. People have been chiming in. I'll go through the stream later. I'm having a little bit of a busy day today myself, but it was honestly such a joy to have you. And thank you for all the good information that you put out there and for all the good work that you do. It's really important. And
Thank
everybody,
you.
oh, and I just want to say, and everybody who's watching, find your courage and don't be afraid. The truth is on your side.
And I just want to say thank you, and thank you for being the beacon of light that you are, and thank you for all your supporters and all these cool people that are out there. You're not alone.
No, you're not alone.
Yeah. Thanks, and thanks for all the support from everybody, including yourself.
Oh, thanks, Matt. I'll see you soon again.
Cool.
Bye-bye.
Bye.